Hello everyone, welcome to Holy Cow. Today we're going to make a gorgeous and traditional vegetable biryani, and we're going to do it in 30 minutes flat. We're going to begin by making the rice, and I find that the quickest way to do this for this 30-minute biryani is in the microwave. You can do this on the stove top if you want to. It's probably going to take you a little bit longer. You have the rice which has been washed and drained, and you're going to add to it a little bit of salt because you want your rice to have flavor. Next, I'm going to add to it half of the green cardamom pods and half of the cloves that I have in here. So that's about 4 green cardamom pods and about 4 of the cloves. I want to add about half of the shahi jeera or the black cumin. So just sprinkle that on here. And the rest of this will go into the biryani when we're actually cooking it. Now I'm going to add all of the vegetable stock. This is about 2 cups of vegetable stock, and that's all of it going to go right in here. Now just give this a mix and put it in the microwave for 8 minutes on high. And that's going to cook the rice, not all the way, but it's going to cook it to about 80% to 90%. And that's exactly where you want it. If there's any water remaining in the rice after you've cooked it, just drain it out. We have the pan on medium-high heat, and I'm going to start out by adding to it about a tablespoon of vegetable oil. And as soon as that heats up, I'm going to add to it some of the garam masala ingredients. So that is the bay leaves, the black cardamom pods, the cinnamon. Those will go right in there. I shall also add to it the remaining caraway seeds or the shahi jeera. And I have here the remaining green cardamom and the cloves. So all of that will go in. I'm just going to stir fry it for a couple of seconds. Probably going to lower the heat on this a little bit to about medium-low. And then I'm going to put in all of the vegetables. So just put them all in. And you want the veggies in there first because they're going to take a little bit of time to cook. And a little bit of salt so that the vegetables cook a little bit quicker. Just sprinkle in a bit of salt. Give it all a good stir. Now make sure that your heat is not too high, and you can then cover this and walk away from it for about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, my veggies have been cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes now, and I'm going to go in with the herbs. So I have here the mint and the dill, the cilantro. Just dump all of it in. And I have the ginger and garlic. So all of that goes in. Just give it a stir, mix it all together. You know, this is really a traditional biryani. This has all the flavors of a biryani that you'd find in a Hyderabadi restaurant. But the only difference is that we're making it much quicker, and we're also making it vegan. And we're making it at home, so we can control all that goes into it in terms of health and nutrition. So the next thing that we're going to add in here are the cashew pieces, if you're using those. So just put them all in here. Add in the biryani masala. And you can add in as much or as little as you want once you have tasted this curry that we are making. That's going to go at the as the first layer of this biryani. Now I'm going to add into this about half of those fried onions that we have here. So this is about half a cup. Just going to sprinkle those in. And I'm going to leave the remaining onions for the top of the rice, and that's not only going to look good, but it's also going to taste amazing. At this point, you can go in and add the tofu cubes and the yogurt. I'm going to add in the yogurt before I add in the tofu cubes, and the reason for that is that you don't want to toss the tofu around for too long. You don't want to let it cook for too long. And so I'll go in with this first. I'll give it all a good stir, mix it all together. And this yogurt is going to add a lot of great moisture as well as flavor to the biryani. So it's not going to be dry. I'm going to go in with the tofu. Let's add all of this in. Mix it up. You can add some paprika to this dish if you like, to give it a little more color. This gravy will cook up a little more browner, but if you like some more color to your dish, you could certainly add some paprika. I probably would not add more cayenne unless I have tasted this, because the biryani masalas do sometimes tend to be spicy. So you want to be careful about that. So this is now at a medium-high heat, and I'm just going to let this whole thing warm through a bit. Just stir it occasionally, make sure that nothing is getting stuck. Don't smush the tofu. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 5 minutes, and it seems to be sticking a little bit to the bottom. I have it over medium high heat, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit of vegetable stock just to make sure that all of the vegetables don't stick to the bottom, because this has to continue cooking for a little bit. It's just going to give me that little extra added insurance, and also it's going to add some more flavor. Now you don't have to use vegetable stock in this recipe. You can use water to make your rice, and that'll be perfectly fine. The vegetable stock just adds some great flavor, and I like using it in here. Okay, so now that that has warmed through, it's time to add in our rice. And the rice is done cooking in the microwave, and this is how it looks. The grains are perfectly separate. It's slightly al dente, so you have a little bit of a bite, and it's not cooked all the way through. It's a bit hot, so I'm going to put that down. And what I did was I ran a fork over it and through it, just to sort of separate the grains out a little bit. And now we're ready to layer it on our curry for this amazing biryani. Okay, so what I want to do is just sort of flatten all this out a bit. And next, I'm going to add in the rice. And just make sure that you have it all spread out in an even layer. So once this is in, I'm going to just go ahead and make sure that this is as smoothed out as I can make it. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be even so that it'll cook evenly. Okay, and next we are going to add in the two ingredients that we have reserved for the top. The first is the fried onions. So these are the remaining fried onions that we had saved from earlier, and we're just going to sprinkle them on top so that when we eat our biryani. Everyone's going to get a little bit of these and they're going to taste amazing. And then finally, we're going to sprinkle in this saffron soaked in the almond milk. And just sort of get that in there. You know, it doesn't have to be in any sort of particular way. Just get that in there as evenly as you can. The saffron strands sort of clumped in here, so I'm going to separate those out a bit so that they're evenly dispersed without making too much of a mess. All right, I think that's okay. And now you could at this point add in some mint leaves, which would be amazing, and it would give even more flavor to the biryani. Otherwise, just put on the lid at this point. Make sure it's a tight fitting lid and just get that on there and leave it alone over low heat. Just turn it to the lowest setting on your stove and leave it alone for about 15 minutes. Hey guys, so our biryani is done and you can see it looks amazing. It smells absolutely amazing in here. A couple of things that I forgot to mention. One is that you should salt the curry to your liking. I had actually added some salt when I was cooking the veggies and that was salty enough for me, but if you want, if you like your food saltier, make sure that you taste the curry before you layer the rice on over it and add more salt if you want to. And the other thing was I wanted to add a tip about using a substitute for the saffron, and that would be turmeric. You could absolutely mix in a little bit of turmeric into some almond milk and you could sprinkle that on there at the very end instead of the saffron. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what this vegetable biryani looks like. And the way to do this, the way to serve this is to just sort of go down vertically. So you're getting all of those layers and you just sort of want to dig it up from the bottom. So dig that up and you're going to get a good chunk of the veggies and the rice and the onions and all of that good stuff. And this is going to taste absolutely amazing.